Alright, so this is a mud puppy. He loves the mud. Today's video is going to be about adding crawl control to the GX460. And to tell you up front, it's a cool mod. It's kind of a gimmick, but the way we do it here, it's totally free. So you might as well do it. Now, there is a downside. You lose your regular A-track in low range. But crawl control is better, it gives you other speeds. And this is a very good crawl control, meaning it's not very intrusive. Once you're in crawl control, you can hit the brakes, you can shift the transmission, you can speed up, slow down with the gas pedal, and it doesn't take it out of crawl control, where some other cars do some weird stuff. So I think it's a good mod. Just be aware that as soon as you go into low range, you're going to have no A-track until you turn crawl control on. From the factory, when you go into low range, it defaults to A-track. Hey guys, so I'm going to show you how to make crawl control work on your GX460. For whatever reason, we didn't get it on the US GX460s, but the wires are right there and the programming is right there in the dash. So you got to do some very easy mods to add it. And if you want to do this the easy way, you can spend $300-400 and buy the new switch. But honestly, this is almost as easy and works really well. So I'm going to show you how I did it. There's a couple write-ups on this all over the internet. I'll link those in the description, but I had to use a bunch of different videos to figure this out and try to put it all in one video and make it a little more clear. Okay, so here's the wiring diagram I made. This connector right here is this connector right here. This is on the bottom of your four-wheel drive combination switches, meaning the switches that are on your center console that has high-low and downhill assist, DAC switch. So that's that connector right there. There's only 5 wires in there you need to be concerned with to do this mod in its entirety. So these are their pinouts and their colors and what they do. Okay, so step 1, just to add crawl control and not be able to adjust crawl control speed. If you stop after this step, you'll just have medium speed crawl control when you throw the switch, is to connect the light green wire to the black wire. Just cut them and splice them together. I soldered all of mine, but you could use a butt connector or you could use a little wire tap, however you want to do it. Soldering is probably the best. But if you do this and you connect the green to the black, when you throw your DAC switch, instead of it engaging DAC, that signal will go from the green wire into the black wire and tell the computer that you want crawl control. Now, there is another step you have to do to make that work. You have to get the computer set up to recognize a crawl control signal. You have to do the 0-point calibration, but we'll cover that later. The next step is to add a second switch to increase and decrease your speed. So there's 5 speed settings: low, medium, high, and then some in between for crawl control. So to do this, you take this ground wire, which is their black and white, you tee into it, and you go to the common on your switch. And then you take the green and the blue, and you go to the other 2 poles on your switch for decrease crawl control speed and increase crawl control speed. It's literally that easy. Then you got to find a good place to mount that second switch. What I decided to do was to use this switch right here. It's a winch switch. It's a momentary. It's perfect for this application. It's just not labeled quite right. By the way, you can order custom switches if you care about that sort of thing. But this is a cheap switch that fits in the factory pop-out above your diff lock, center diff lock switch, and it pops right in there, so it'll look very factory. And what you got to find to make sure you get the right switch is that it's these dimensions right here. I've been using these switches other places on the truck, and they work great. So that's the wiring diagram. I put it in the beginning of the video so you can go back to this because I'm sure you're going to look at it several times. And another thing to point out is there's multiple green wires on here and there's a couple black ones. So you actually got to check the pin number, not just the color. But it's very easy because Toyota labels which pin is which on the back of the connector. It'll say like 1 in a corner and then 8 and then 9 and then 16. So you can pretty easily figure out which pin's which. And of course, I'm going to show you in the video. Let's first turn the truck off. To remove this thing, you just pop the boot down, unscrew the shift knob. I like to take these off too. This is optional, but it just makes it a little easier, trust me. That just snaps off like that. Put that back here. Yeah, you kind of pull right, yep. Start at the back and work your way forward. All very nice, leather wrapped. Okay, and then I'm gonna close that little SD card port. We need to play with that at some point, by the way. You put an SD card in there and play videos off of it. We also play DVDs in this thing. You just grab right here and pop it up. It's trying to take the cup holders with it, though. You want to leave the cup holders in place. All right, grab like that, and then pull it up and back. And that's all you gotta do. This is the connector we're talking about right here. this black connector. So we got that off. Now I'm going to take off a little holder for the connector. So now we get the connector off to the side right here. And now this is what we're going to do work with. So these are all the wires we've got. Okay, so the most basic way to make this work is to just hijack this downhill switch and turn it into your crawl control switch. So usually when you hit this switch, what happens is a ground signal from this white black wire right here is given to this light green wire. This light green wire is in position 15 right there, and this white wire is position 9. So what you do is, to hijack that, you connect the light green wire coming out of the switch to the black wire. That black wire is the signal to the computer to engage crawl control. So all you do is you cut the green wire, you cut the black wire, you leave the black wire on the switch side hanging out, and you connect the green wire from the switch to the black wire on the harness. Okay, so I soldered the light green on the connector side to the black on the harness side. All right, just to reiterate, so all you have to do to make crawl control work at medium speed is connect the black wire to the light green wire. Now these other 3 wires are to be able to adjust the speed of crawl control. So this white here, you see I didn't cut the white black, I just tapped into it. I pulled back the insulation and soldered into it to tap into it. And these other ones I did cut. And the reason for that is I still want this switch to work. So I can't cut the white black because it needs the ground for the switch to work. So this white right here will go to be the common on my 2-position switch. For now I'm just using this for speed up and speed down. So this white will be the common, and then this green will be speed up and the blue will be speed down. Or maybe I got that backwards. But to figure out which green and which blue you need is a little tricky because there's multiple greens and blues coming out of this connector very annoyingly. So the green is in position 3. You can see a tiny little 1 right there. You see it? So that green is position 3 green, and the blue you cut is the position 5 blue. And then you also cut the position 6 black. So they're all kind of next to each other, all the ones you have to work with. That's pretty nice. All right, so I got my wires spliced in. That's how it came out. It's not perfect, but it's prettier than stuff I usually do. So I just got to plug this connector back into the bottom of this switch and route these wires back through there and out that hole right there. All right, so wire routing. So I decided to go from down there, you saw that, comes out right here, up behind that bezel. I drilled 1 hole right here to make it super convenient, and then it comes out right there. I wanted to keep it away from all the other wires in there and make it easy to access if I wanted to take it out or whatever. I'm also lazy and didn't feel like getting my hands all up behind the radio. So now we're just going to put a few little temporary crimp-on guys to this switch, and we'll be able to go try out our crawl control speeds. All right, now we're gonna do the 0-point calibration. So this is kind of tricky. You can see there's some paper clips down here in the OBD2 port. I'm gonna press those together like that. Just squeeze them together to make contact. You could wire in a switch there, but I'm lazy and I didn't do that. Okay, so first thing you do, Charlie, come up here. Double tap the stop-start button to put it into accessory mode. Then I'm gonna reach down here and grab my paper clips and touch them together 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you look up here, Charlie, you got ABS flashing and you got the track light flashing every once in a while. So that means we're ready to go to the next step. The next step is turn the ignition off. Everything moves because it's a Lexus. Reach down here, and now I'm going to grab these 2 and hold them together for the rest of the process. This is why it's nice to install a switch. So I've got them held together. I'm going to turn back onto accessory mode, so I'm double tapping to stop start again. Everything should be flashing. Yep, we got KDSS flashing, ABS flashing, traction control flashing. Now I'm going to press my switch, which is crawl control. Crawl control not available, select 4 low. And that means the computer now knows that there is a switch installed that should engage crawl control. So I'm gonna let go of my cotter pins or paper clips, whatever you have down there, and turn the truck off. Okay, so now you have to drive it around for like a couple minutes at 25 miles an hour, let it relearn all the switches, and we should be able to use crawl control. I think that's gonna work. All right, so there's the switch, pretty simple, same colors that are down here on the switch underneath there on the same connector. Got it in drive, 4-wheel low, that's important because it won't work. So just to activate crawl control, just toggle the switch and then that comes up, and now I can change the speeds to my 5 options using the switch we wired up. So of course we'll go show you what that looks like off-road and really test it out. Crawl control, first you gotta go to low range, so go to neutral, flip this to low, track off for low, that's good. Then put it back in drive, and now simply toggle your switch right there. Now crawl control is on. I have mine hooked up to the DAC switch, right? And there's all the different speeds. So we're in the slowest crawl control now. And it is using the brakes and everything makes it go slow. Now I'm gonna turn out of this rut and really make it work its ass off. So I'm not doing any throttle right now. That's the difference between crawl and DAC. DAC cannot do throttle. So the situation right here, with open diffs, you never go up this. And it's using all the brakes and everything to make this go up in as slow and as smooth as possible. Now this is, again, this is the slowest speed, right? So we're getting kind of tired of that, so let's hit our switch and bump it up to the medium, second slowest, a little smoother. Let's go to medium. Right, here's medium speed. Again, I haven't touched the brake or the throttle yet. So when you're in crawl control, all you do is steer. This is the second from the fastest speed. I think this is quicker than other trucks I've tried it in. All right, let's go full speed. This is high speed crawl control. This is pretty decent speed. This is kind of a speed I drive around at. According to the speedometer, we're doing 2 miles an hour. We'll have to look at the GPS and see what these speeds actually are. But yeah, pretty decent. And when you go to these higher speeds, you don't hear the actuating all the time, right? Because it's not having to work super hard to maintain that slow speed. Now, what I also wonder is if I go to sport mode, does that disengage it? It didn't. So I can go to sport mode and I can lock it in first gear and it's staying in crawl control. Wow, that's pretty excellent. Didn't expect that. So you can lock it down in first gear. All right, hold on, buddy. So that was a little too quick going downhill. So I probably should use a different crawl control for that. I don't really feel like winching right now. That looks kind of muddy. Let's go up another hill and we'll go down it again with crawl control. So I've yet to touch the gas or the brake this whole time. That's exactly how the 400s Tacomas have it feel too. Yeah, the lowest gear of crawl control is always so goofy. If I hit the gas, does it disengage? No, it's staying in crawl control, but it's just letting me hit the gas, and then when I let off the gas, oh, does it ever go back into crawl control? So you can override it briefly by just touching the gas, doesn't disengage it. Oh, wow. If I hit the brake though, oh, it's not disengaging it. That's cool. So if I shift this all the way up to 6, doesn't seem to care. So testing out crawl control, I had it in the lowest speed setting, which meant it didn't have enough momentum to get through this hole once the front got high centered. But Buddy is just having an absolute blast. So Charlie's winching out with the old hand winch. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to do a one-person recovery, meaning he's gonna do all the work and I'm just gonna video. So we did manage to get it out without any A-track or crawl control, because even open, a Toyota is still fairly capable. That's where the front diff was sitting, or the front skids. That's where the rear diff was sitting. So it was quite stucked, but it got out pretty easily with the old come along. To further investigate what's going on, we came home and put the truck up on jack stands to play with these traction modes, because something unexpected is happening here. So it used to be when you went to 4 low in this truck, by default A-track was on. And I'm going to attempt to show you that that is not the case right now by putting my foot against a spinning tire. See how I can stop it? That means there's no A-track. Your center diff's locked, right? No A-track. Just put it in the lowest speed. So now it's trying to keep all the wheels spinning at the same rate. So if I go to stop this one, it'll fight me. Yeah, I can't stop it. So crawl control is working great, but I do not have A-track without crawl control. That is weird. So let's see if we can bring it back by recalibrating it. So go ahead and put your foot on the brake and then put it in park. So I just redid the 0-point calibration using the DAC switch, and we're gonna see if we have A-track now. A-track is back. A little bit of gas? Yep, so by redoing the 0-point calibration using the original DAC switch, A-track is back in low range. So that's just, it's not that big of a deal, I just wanted to prove it. When you do the 0-point calibration and it detects the crawl control switch, it kills normal A-track. Okay, so I decided to look through the owner's manual again, and of course the answer is right here in the owner's manual. There's 2 types of these GX460 traction control systems. There's the US version right here without multi-train select, and there is the Canadian version right here with multi-train select. On US vehicles, when you put the transfer case in 4 low, you turn off VSC, but you automatically have A-track. In vehicles with multi-train select and crawl control, when you put the vehicle in 4 low, VSC and A-track are automatically turned off. That's what I'm experiencing. So this makes complete sense with what I observed today. Now, in order to do this mod properly, I really should add in the multi-train select module. Then I would have that and crawl control. And for those that don't know, multi-train select is just another name for A-track, but it's tunable A-track. It's A-track where you can change how sensitive it is.